All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1, the return of Karthritis Radio. I messed up the name again. Fucking hell, how do I do that?
Cut.
No, it's okay. I need to learn. Karthritis. There we go.
Karthritis.
Come again. Do it again, Clark.
Karthritis.
Yeah, it sounds better in British anyway.
Didn't we go with osteoporosis?
Fuck. All right, do over. Yeah. So this is the, I guess, second show, but we're calling it episode 1 because the previous one was a reboot or whatever, resurrection. And we've got a lot of positive feedback, actually. A lot of new ideas, people who want to get on with their stuff, and today we have our first guest, which we'll introduce shortly. But first, guys, let's go around the room again and see who's here. So I want you to state your nickname and the most famous celebrity you've exchanged words with.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh. Right. Oh, hello then. I am Zarkov, also known as Clark. And the most famous celebrity that I've had words with is actually Wee Man from Jackass.
Right. Could you say a word about how that came to be?
Right. This is when I was working at Heathrow Airport, and I was standing in a queue to buy some tea and a biscuit. But there was these people in front of me, and there was this woman who had a really nice ass. I was checking it out, and then I noticed this dwarf next to her, just staring at me angrily. I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Stop looking at my wife's ass." I was like, "Sorry." And
No way. That can't be a real story, Clark.
no, it is 100% real story.
It sounds legit.
Solid. Okay.
You don't make that stuff up.
Right, you can't make that.
Right, exactly.
Cannot make that up. All right, I cannot follow that. But my name is Sargoth anyway. I guess I met James Labrie, the singer of Dream Theater, while being extraordinarily hungover at a champagne breakfast buffet. Yeah, I don't want to speak any more words on that. Next.
This is KVD. I'm struggling hard at the moment to think if I met any celebrities at all. Maybe not technically meeting, but I sat next to Jan Vertongen, the Belgian defender, in the subway when I was in Amsterdam, and we exchanged an hello. So that's.
Oh shit!
There you go.
It's not quite as interesting.
Moving on up in the world, I see.
That's how it starts,
I
Carol.
know, right? Maybe he will be a world champion soon, or is football coming home?
It's coming home.
Let's do that segment a bit later, huh? Or did we sum it up now?
Could talk for an hour about how amazing England's performance was, but I shan't.
Okay, too bad. And now to introduce our today's guest. So go ahead.
Hi.
Yep.
Well, my name is Mike Gorn, but probably everyone knows me by Goomba. First of all, I want to say thanks for having me on here.
Oh, sure.
It's an honor. And the most famous celebrity I've exchanged words with is definitely Christian Wild. There's no other way.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolute legend.
Talk about moving places.
I know.
That's A-list right there.
All right. That's that taken care of. Let's move on to we have a lot of topics actually today. Do we want to go through the topics first, just to tease the topics?
I feel like that's a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah. So among today's topics are the follow-up to the Karter Contest, where some stuff has happened. We are going to talk a bit about the MK64 World Championships, or European Meet, whatever. Ain't that huge, but it's good. We have some words about an SMK Tutorial. I think it's a series, Carol?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
By Connor Wood, the very talented English SMK player.
It's an ongoing series?
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. We have more news about CDM, the Super Mario Kart World Championships. There are a couple of tidbits about Mario Kart Double Dash. And I'll also touch on some very strange Super Mario Kart news that nobody cares about, but it's still slightly interesting. So yeah, that's of course you would care. Yeah. So that's today's schedule, and it's very kart heavy. We might throw in a football, soccer, World Cup bit, but yeah.
It's coming on.
Yeah, sure. All right, so should we start off with the tutorial, Carol? Because I'm really eager to hear about this, as I've failed to watch it myself, the SMK tutorial.
Yeah, so of course SMK as a community has been around since like 2000, and we have this extensive message board, tutorials between quotations, like all helping each other out, and how do you boost and whatnot. But as of yet, there was always like a big void as far as actual tutorial videos go. And yeah, that void is currently being filled by Connor Wood. And
really well. Really well.
with a really like his style. It's very modern. He is clearly a kid of this age. I'm saying this like I'm an old father, and I am. I would probably not be able to produce such a video. He's like really engaging in the way he speaks, and I think he's doing a really good job at explaining the basic tech that is making SMK so enjoyable. And he's also doing it really extensively, so he's not hasting through the topics, let's say. He's just taking his time to explain every little thing that you encounter in the game, and therefore it's a series. So I think the plan right now is that he will release one video every week. And so far,
I think it's 2 videos a week, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
Monday there's like lines or something.
But I read some tweets recently that he's mid-weekly episode, a Monday episode, where he goes into track-specific racing lines. He might not be able to, keep to his schedule regarding those, but they will come.
What I really do like about his series is that it first starts off with a story instead of like getting straight into it. Like, hey, you want to learn? All right, here's what you need to do. It actually puts like a basis down for what you can expect from the community, what you can expect when you actually get into it.
Absolutely,
which is something I would personally not really think about doing when creating a series like this, because I have like when I started out, I made this tutorial series called Zero to Hero, in which I just got the hero standard, and I wanted to show as many people really how they could start out. But the fact that he starts off with like such an engaging story and introduction is a fantastic way to really grab everyone's attention towards what he's gonna say.
Definitely.
Completely agree, and yeah, he makes it personal. So he also talks about why, what his place in the community is, and what he has done. And he's also exclusively using footage that he has produced, like from races that he has done at CDM and whatnot. So in that sense, it's also a personal story, and I think people can relate to this. Well worth a watch, even if you're already an established SMK player.
Yeah, it sounds very good.
I was
Yeah.
really surprised how much I enjoyed watching it. I went in a bit dubious on the first watch, thinking how good is this going to be, and I was blown away by how good he was and how well he's made it. Yeah, well worth watch.
Yeah, brilliant. I have a couple of questions, since I'm the one who hasn't watched it. It feels bad right now, but yeah. So is this time trial specific, or does he touch on other subjects of the game?
I would say it's not about time trial at all so far.
Oh, okay.
It's mostly about general SMK racing, and Connor is, I would say, better at multiplayer than time trial. I'm pretty sure he would agree as well. And
I'm actually really looking forward to his video on one-player battle mode.
Yeah, that's gonna be a speed run, right?
That's where it's at. Yeah.
And do some sick red shells.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
might
was
request-
showing like footage of all the other game modes, and I think he touched the subject of items as well. So I'm expecting him to go over the full game pretty much.
Yeah, he loves items anyway, doesn't he? He's, I mean, he's a proper good item racer when you play him on match racing.
Yeah, and that was going to be my second question. What's his sort of general skill level at the game? What has he done at CDM, for example? Top 10?
Yeah, like
Top 10, yeah.
That's no joke.
Didn't he hit a semi-final at GP last year, I think, or the year before?
Yeah, I think he got top 4. He was like the youngest top 4 ever in a specific tournament. Let me look it up real quick. So he got 4th in 2012 in match race, and that was when he was 15 years old.
Right.
So what is he's actually I consider him definitely a better battle mode player than I am. So he's quarterfinalist and potentially even semi-finalist at battle mode. And he's also really good at pushing people in match race, like when you have the body to body, so without items. He usually comes out on top, even against people that like Geo and Scoop, who are really good at this too.
You mean even against people who are French?
Even against French, he is better at using the body probably.
That's a sort of an interesting skill in SMK, which I have completely neglected, and I'm sure you as well, Carol.
Well, I do pick it up because of years of experience, but yeah, not something I specifically focused on or anything. Yeah,
right.
I'm not a natural at it.
Right. No, that's more what I'm saying. Yeah. Right. Did that cover the tutorial part?
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we'll move on through the correct chronological order, which means I'll be talking about something called Super Mario Kart AI. I'm not talking about the AI inside the game itself, but I'm talking about a guy called Seth, I believe, who has made 3 separate learning programs or neural networks that play SMK or teach itself how to play SMK. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah, has it hit any good times yet, or is it still really bad?
Well, I spoke a bit to some people in the know today, because this is streaming on Twitch all the time. I just happened to come across a more or less secret stream channel before it was official. But it started the official stream like yesterday or something. So
I don't know, was this French?
No, this third iteration of the learning program is fresh. But the other ones are a bit older, and there's like a 5-month-old video that managed to get gold on 50cc Mushroom Cup. And this sounds, it sounds sort of, well, a small child could do that. But this is not a human brain at all. This is a computer brain or whatever, who has taught itself the entire game how to drive. I mean, it doesn't even know it's a racing game, right? It just works on reward.
The MarIFlow thing?
The MarIFlow was the one that succeeded at getting gold, yes.
Right.
And then there was one called Mari/O.
Yeah.
And now there's one called MarIQ, as in MarIQ. You see the pun there?
Okay, I haven't heard yet. I haven't heard about that one yet.
That's very fresh, I think.
Yeah. It's, I mean, 2 weeks since I saw the first stream.
Has it done anything notable of yet?
No, I wouldn't say so. It's talking to the guys in the know again. They say the first period is just learning how steering works. And in SMK, the steering is not clear cut. It's not press left or press right. It's all this momentum built up in the kart, and it's any sort of speed loss.
So I guess you're saying that it's at a level where it could beat Nane.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So the current mode of operation is just 1 minute on a track, on each track of Mushroom Cup, and then then it records, okay, which place was I in at 1 minute mark, yada yada yada, how many checkpoints have I passed at that point. Then it moves on to the next track. And Ghost Valley 1 is working pretty good. It can sometimes be in the lead after 1 minute there. But stuff like the zippers on MC2 not working very good because there's no jump button so far. It's just gas is always pressed, and the game is learning left and right when that's good. So it's a whole process, but it's very interesting to follow.
I'll be intrigued to see where that goes.
Yeah, and so Goomba, what do you know about the Mari flow from back in the day or back in the year?
I only watched like the one video that SethBling uploaded.
Yeah,
about
okay.
it.
Yep.
But I remember seeing like this grayscale image with like the track being the lightest color.
Yep.
And then the walls being black, and that way kind of like detects where it actually needs to go. And then there were also these weird static images, which I am not sure what it was again. But there was like this whole thing going on.
Yeah, there are several factors. There's one is probability of success by pressing left, probability of success of driving straight and pressing right. So it has a calculated. It calculates what would most likely be good, and then it also has like a try hard mode where it tries something completely different to see if it works, and then checks, no, it didn't work. So next time I get to this point of this level, I'll try something else. Yeah, I want.
It will be interesting to see if it, like, way down the line comes up with strats like gas releasing at the end of Choco Island 1 and all that kind of things. That would be really cool.
Yeah, and the thing is, this has been done in other games to some extent, but SMK is a very non-trivial game. The whole jumping thing, the whole max versus non-max speed, the release of gas during boosting, and to get up to that level, I cannot imagine for an AI of the sort. But the thing
is there even like an AI that has reached like at least a pretty high skill level pretty much? I don't think so, right?
No, probably not.
In any game, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know either.
But
because I remember watching a Super Mario World one, and even though I got through a few levels, it was still crashing into everything pretty much.
Yeah, but eventually you'd think this would be viable. I mean, quite a bit down the line, that is.
Yeah. It would get really interesting once it starts developing strategies that we don't know yet.
That's the most interesting part, because it doesn't think like a human.
Grail, right?
Yeah, it's sort of bound to go about things a different way than we are. So there might be something. I don't know. Who knows? Interesting.
I feel like that'll take a very, very long time, though.
Yeah.
Before we even get close to that.
Are we talking about the heat death of the universe, or?
Pretty much, dude.
The week before.
All right.
All right. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But I suggest everyone sort of follow the Twitch channel, because yeah, it is sort of interesting, isn't it?
For sure. Yeah.
Right. Do we have any news on the Karter Contest?
We're still waiting on results, I believe.
Yeah.
So they
I think Leone has died.
Oh wait. Oh, he's here. He says to be determined real soon. Like a lot of those.
The suspense.
He actually fell asleep apparently. What? What a great job.
Wow.
I'm getting excuses.
I think we are very privileged right now to have Goomba in our midst right now.
Yeah.
Such opportune timing.
Right.
It could well be that I'll be passing on the flame, as it were, to Goomba, being the reigning champion. Passing it on to you.
What?
I mean, this is still the semi final, so.
Yeah, you never know. You've got healthy support.
It's true. It's true. We'll have to see though. This is a very exciting match, and the fact that there's like 107 total votes, I seem to remember.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's pretty damn crazy.
I think it still needs to go a long way to beat the biggest ever voted one, which was when Neo was against Michael Freed in the final in 2008.
Freed made the final?
Yeah, and he won it in 2008.
He won, right? Yeah.
2000.
He was the last American to win it. Yeah.
When was this?
2008. 2008.
Huh.
And yeah, so he he beat Florent in the final.
I think that's the year that Neo crashed the party with all the French email votes, right?
That was it, yeah, and that's the reason why email votes are now banned as well, because there's all these people from the French message board who never had accounts on the message board.
Right.
And weren't on there.
Do we have a Joe in our midst?
Possibly.
Did not sound like
Maybe
it.
not.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
Wow, you did it.
God damn it.
God.
All right, welcome, Joe. I'm just gonna throw you into the shark nest or whatever it's called, and
Shark Nest, yeah.
that's the one. And you can introduce yourself and
Sharknado?
wow, that's a good one. Introduce yourself and mention who the most known celebrity you've ever exchanged words with is. That was a nice sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm Joe Reinreb, and I prefer my chili without beans. The most famous celebrity. Wow, that's kind of on the spot, isn't it?
Yeah. The shark's nest.
It's a shark's nest. Yeah, this is rough stuff. Maybe Pauly Shore. Pauly Shore actually.
Pauly Shore. All right, that's a shout.
Who are they?
All right. So Pauly Shore is a bad comedy actor from the 90s, from such great films like Biodome and Son-in-Law, and those cult classics. Anyway, yeah. So he owns Comedy Store. It's off of Sunset in Los Angeles or Hollywood, California. And one day I was just drunken at a show, and then I noticed that he was just standing there talking to somebody. So I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. I'll walk up to him, and I was like, hey, man. I'm just a big fan of Son-in-Law. I love your stuff. And he shook my hand and then didn't say anything and then went right back to talking to the guy he was talking to. So
all right.
So yeah, that was a quote unquote exchange.
Beats my story.
All right. So
listen back to that one.
So welcome, Joe. You seem out of breath. I'll just
I was racing down the mountains in Colorado trying to get back. I was actually on my phone the entire time it wasn't working. So I was just like, hello. God damn it! What the fuck? Hello.
Yeah.
Were you racing down the mountains on a sled or something?
No, it was in a car. but you have to go left and right fast because it's windy. So yeah. And then I had to run from my car to upstairs here. So obviously I'm way out of breath because I'm so in shape.
Yeah, I'll let you take a short break, Joe, and then Carol can move on to the CDM proceedings.
Sure.
Oh yeah, sure. So World Championships are a little over a month away, and this week Neo sacrificed a couple, 3 nights of his sleep to produce a trailer, which was really cool. I believe you've just watched it as well, Sargoth.
Yeah, it was brilliant, actually.
So for a long time, it was looking like there would be no trailer for this championships, and it's like a tradition that we have in our community that we do a trailer every year. So usually it's Neo. Last year it was Kyle Randall from the Cartel, which is a brilliantly funny trailer, a play on the Matrix. You should probably watch that too if you have time.
All right.
But yeah, Neo pulled through in the end. He was busy moving houses. I actually contacted him 2 weeks ago asking if he would be the one to do the trailer this year because he always does such a good job at it. But he said, yeah, I'm too busy. I'm moving houses and there's just no time to do it. But then he just decided to not sleep for a few days. And he came through with a really good trailer.
I actually happen to think that that's probably the best trailer for the CDM I've ever seen. It was really good. Really good.
Is this because you're in it, Clark?
Yeah, it's because I am a starring role.
Yeah.
I'm not biased or anything, but
No, never.
I think it was really good because I'm there.
Anyway.
I'm gonna second that because what I really like is how it portrays how international it is, and he really puts the emphasis on that, which is really cool.
Yep. True. And I'm just gonna mention briefly here that you can watch all the things we reference in the show. You can find the links in the YouTube version. So I think the last show Carol did an amazing job linking 25 different things.
Including all the Twitch spots of Eden, Kappa.
Yeah, I didn't rewatch them all, but I'm sure as hell will.
Oh, come on. That's weak.
Yeah, well, I didn't have 44 hours to spare the last week. Sorry about that. Anything else about the CDM?
Yeah. So again, usually this is made half a year or even more in advance. People predicting who will be the winner of each individual mode on the French forum. This is a thing, and the topics are usually called "Qui sera le vainqueur de Grand Prix?" For example. That's my best French.
I hope you're okay, Carol.
What does that even mean?
Pardon my French. No. It basically means who do you think is gonna win match race, Grand Prix, battle mode, time trial? And I made the topics last week because no one else did, and I put in my top 4s, who I think is going to be top 4 in each mode, and then the second person to reply was Sami.
Yeah.
And Sami is always very conservative about how he ranks himself, and keeping in mind that last year he was actually 70%, maybe even a little more, on the way to becoming a Grand Slam champ, which is the Grand Slam is like the holy grail
combined
of the
rankings?
championships. Yeah, it's that you win every mode in
Oh,
1 year, and this has never been done. And only Neo has come close in the past, and now Sami came sort of close. He won time trial, he won match race, and he got to the semi-final of battle mode, playing really, really well. And it was actually 8-8, so both players were on match point, and he got hit by a random green.
Oh, right. Yeah, you got kind of robbed, right?
Yeah, so he was actually really on the road to becoming a Grand Slam world champion for the first time in history. And keeping that in mind, now he filled in his predictions of how he would perform himself. Well, he would also predict how others would do, of course, but he only qualified himself in the top 4 in one of the modes, match race, as 4th. And in the rest, he predicts himself to go out in the quarterfinals.
Does he do that every year?
He does that every year, yeah.
Okay.
And everyone knows
Sami,
it's just bullshit.
That's sort of normal for Sami, isn't it? He's always playing down his chances so much.
so Carol,
And-
do you think we'll ever get a Grand Slam champion at this World Championships?
That's an interesting question. I'm actually think that it is likely to happen at some point because the way SMK works, match race and Grand Prix are very overlapping skill sets,
Mhm.
and time trial to some extent, for time trial 1 tries is also an overlapping skill set that rewards consistency over like insane racing lines.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of surprised it hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's mostly because of battle mode, but now the best multiplayer players are actually also really, really good at battle mode. So Sami, Scoop. I'm still thinking that we are going to see it 1 year.
So Scoob or Neo or Sami, one of those?
One of those 3 will have to be it, yeah.
Yeah, easily. There's no other people who come close to
No.
those 3, really.
So those will be top 3 this year. I mean, come hell or high water, that's going to be the top 3.
Well, it's sort of always themed as a surprise, isn't it, when someone else other than one of those 3 wins an event, right? Or wins one of the modes. So just shows their dominance, really.
Actually, an interesting little thing about CDM is that it'll be my first CDM this year.
Yeah, mine as well.
So, oh, nice, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in the Netherlands now, so there was no excuse for me to not go.
It's in your backyard.
I definitely need to get my practice on, but I've been busy with Casey and Double Dash. We'll talk about that
Well, me
later.
too.
I
I still haven't
suppose.
plugged in my SNES, so I'm still waiting to start practicing. I'm thinking Sundays when I put mine in. Not that I'm going to have a significant effect on the overall results or anything.
I was going to say, Clark, that the 2 big takeaways from the last show for me was I'm certainly eager to hear about updates on the bottle cap collection.
Oh yeah.
But the latest breaking news on where your Super Nintendo is and how it's getting used is also very
Breaking.
Well, my Super Nintendo last week came down from the loft. This
Yeah.
week it's now in a cupboard in
So-
my living room.
okay. So last week was great. This week not so much, but I'm thinking we'll be getting somewhere soon.
progress.
Yeah, it might well be plugged in, step by step.
Oh shit.
Also, I think we may have already explored it a little bit last week, but the Double Dash at the World Championships is potentially going to be very, very interesting with Goomba there as the world champion. And,
Right. Yeah.
Aaron's actually sort of taunted him to play all cups against the Marine, and then also out of the blue the Swedes are coming up.
Yeah, the
showing up.
Swedes.
So
Wait,
wanna go into that a little
Marijn
bit?
is joining as well. I wasn't even aware of that fact. I do remember Lafongo sending me a video, like Aaron asking, "All right, is it on? Yes. All right. Hey Goomba, I'm challenging you to an all cup tour, and I'm gonna destroy your ass." He was fully confident, and I mean, sure. Although he did say he would prefer 50 Hz, but obviously 60 Hz is the way to go, as we all should know by now. So yeah, I'll be really curious. I've heard that there's a motion to even get it on stream, so that should be pretty exciting.
Oh, it would be such a missed opportunity if we don't have that on stream.
Yeah, definitely.
Not to not have that on stream, yeah.
But that's another question I have. Will there be more stream channels than one?
I was just gonna ask that too. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, synchronized. All right, we gotta make that happen anyway.
Honestly, I think that it will be on the mainstream after the SMK activity, maybe like a ceremony day or whatever.
Isn't that gonna be Wessel's time to shine?
Yeah, but Wessels is presumably going to be streaming on his own channel, right? Meridian Prime, I would guess.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure about that part. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, I don't know
There's
either.
also-
I'm not sure either, but yeah. We'll
There's
manage
one
something,
other-
I'm sure.
One other big bit of news regarding the CDM, and that is that Drew has confirmed he's now coming.
Hey. Drew SA. Drew SA.
So
Timeless
just
classic.
appear somewhere. Yeah, you'll see him wandering around the streets of Amsterdam, probably swimming in the canals and whatnot.
Yeah.
eating
Why wouldn't you?
I was actually gonna say, this is just pure speculation, but at any point in the future, will the CDM ever consider doing NTSC over PAL?
I think that's a hard no, from what I hear.
But why is it always such a hard no? Because it started off in France as a championnat du monde. Why can't it expand to the rest of the world?
I think you're gonna have to start your own thing then, Joe.
I might have to, yeah.
That's gonna happen.
I just for the record, can I say that I would fully support an NTSC World Championships?
Thank Carol. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. It's just easier to get
I
into.
think it's the superior version.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
The only thing I actually like in PAL are the driving lines, because at sometimes you can actually take turn sharper, but that's about it. And the boosts are a little bit longer, but other than that, it's just a really hard version of the game that I like a lot.
What I really, well, the only drawback for NTSC that I can think of is, from a technical perspective, is that Grand Prix 150cc, if you do two-player, lags really hard.
Yeah. That's true.
That's the only thing that I really dislike about NTSC as a World Championship viable game, let's say. But other than that, I think the item dynamics and therefore racing dynamics would be much more interesting.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's just way more forgiving too, because if you crash
Yeah,
once,
it
it's not over.
Exactly, it remains open. You get a lot more open races.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, are you ready for a segue?
Yes.
Yes.
Hit me up.
So,
Okay. Yes. Okay.
talking about World Championships. Huh? See what I did there?
I'm feeling it.
So, the Mario Kart 64 World Championships are not actually happening right now, but there's a European meeting, at least.
Smooth.
Yeah? Close?
I'm in Croatia.
Yeah, nice job.
I'll take it.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
It'll do.
So, that started like 3 days ago in Croatia.
Yeah, I think so.
Sadly, there's a bit of a weak turnout. There's only 6 players, I believe. They're all pretty high ranked, except for Mol.
Really low ranked.
So they've been doing.
Only 5, right? I think even.
There's only 5 players.
Well, no, I saw there was 8 people, and like 2 of them were Zoran's friends.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm seeing some more people now.
Yeah, 2 or 3 are neighbors, right?
But the thing I think with this one is, considering how small the turnout is, there's some really big prizes going on, like 300 euros or something to win the Grand Prix or something on those lines.
Okay. Just one mode?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, there's a lot of money. Like Zoran has put up loads of money for each mode. I'm not quite sure the exact amount, but I know it's a few €100 for each mode.
Oh, that's cool. To give away to Matthias Rustermeier.
Yeah, exactly. It's giving away €1,000 to a German guy.
Yeah. So I don't know how much you guys have watched. I've seen quite a bit, and so far they've done time trial 1 tries, and they've done Grand Prix 2-player shortcut and non-shortcut. They've done Grand Prix 4-player, and last I checked they were doing battle mode, I think.
I don't think Grand Prix 4-player is a thing. That was probably versus.
Yeah, they were playing with like 4 people at the same time with 2 different setups.
Oh, like that. Okay.
Maybe it was versus. I don't actually remember then. But anyway.
They did play 4-player versus, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So far, no upsets. Matthias has pretty much won everything except, I'm gonna guess battle mode, except it's not actually finished yet. But Soran was really sticking it to him there. Quite dominant for a battle mode that I quite despise.
It's a horrendous version of battle mode, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
The fact that you can drive around as a bomb just to suicide on someone is so ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't think it's the worst battle mode, but it's not good.
So what would you say is the worst battle mode of the
Mario
the
Kart
series?
8.
For sure.
Well, there's like you can only like use normal tracks at that point.
Oh, jeez.
And then Deluxe, they were like, oh shit, I guess we forgot to add them, so here you go, here have some actual battle
Right.
tracks.
What an oversight.
I stopped paying attention to battle mode since Double Dash, because I also thought it was kind of trashy in Double Dash.
Yeah,
no
it
offense.
is. No, it is.
It's okay, it's not very good. I actually really dislike battle mode as a whole, and the fact that 2 of the 3 game modes are complete trash doesn't help the fact in Double Dash, especially the bomb one and the Shine Runner one. Like those 2, I believe in the Shine Runner you have to just run away from everyone, but since it's like super slow and 50cc, nobody knows what they're doing. So it's just a complete mess where everyone just drives around, and pretty much if you can get the shine like right before the end, you win. Whereas bomb mode, everyone will just stay at their little item box and have a good day there, and then wait for the other one to actually come drive up to them, and then drive backwards while throwing bombs forwards. It's really campy. It's terrible, not balanced at all. The balloon one is decent, I suppose, but I won't go too much in depth about that one.
Right. Where do we go from here? So yeah, I kind of want to shout out a bit to the MK64 guys in Croatia for at least putting on a show. It's been an interesting stream. There's always stuff happening, and there's commentary. At some points you have 2 games going on the screen at once with like 4 players, or I think even more at some points. And the way they've made the points visible during the race and immediately updated, very good stuff. So it has been very much fun when Daniel has been close to beating Matthias, and I'm like calculating, okay, so if he wins this one and that one, then maybe we have an upset, but it never happens. Never fucking happens. Matthias just wins everything.
He always manages to clutch it out, yeah.
So he's playing Matthias, that is playing very solid. There's no nonsense. There's no unnecessary risk. He has like the perfect risk-reward balance and just sticks to what he knows. So sadly, it's not that interesting in a way.
I don't think anyone sort of, in terms of sort of SMK, you've got a lot of people who have risen to the level, almost sort of just god of the game. Whereas he seems to be like the only one in MK64 at the moment.
I feel like Matthias is just insanely consistent compared to the others.
Yeah, consistency is a good word here, describing.
Yeah. Like a crazy version of Sami. He's like.
He's really consistent. Yeah, I was gonna make that comparison myself. It's very reminiscent of, I mean, a bit older Sami style. I think it's loosened up a bit more since.
Yes, he did. Last year he was loose for his standards.
Right.
Sami, that is.
Yeah.
And I would say that Matthias could actually have some stiff competition if he went to the Virginia meet. He has gone to the Virginia meet once, I believe, but guys like Beck Ebney and Bossman could probably give him a run for his money in multi.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd love to see Beck versus Matthias. That'd be really good.
It was really good when it happened.
Oh, I missed that one.
Well, not this year.
How much I pay attention to these things. But...
Right, so good stuff to the Croatia guys, and I think that sums up our SMK and MK64 for today, which leaves us...
Well, I actually just like to mention the Karter Contest results literally just got announced.
was just
All right. Oh, shit.
I was going to say the same thing, sorry. I was going to leave it to you, though.
Alright, so there were 2 matches. The match, me versus Shock, turned out with Shock had 52 votes, and I ended up with 55 votes, actually. So
Joe,
I managed to
shit.
make it to the finals.
Cheers!
We have a potential champion amongst us.
We also have a champion
With,
amongst us, remember.
MKDD
we don't
block
care about that
of
anymore.
29 votes, 2 MKDD votes for Shock, so that's a huge block.
That's enormous.
Looking at the stats right now, almost every other block, I think every other block actually voted more in Shock's favor. However, since the MKDD block was that big, I actually managed to steal 7 MKSC votes where Shock got 14, so that's actually really surprising.
Droves in their droves.
The Double Dash block, yeah, you're absolutely right. 29 votes to 2. Oof. In favor of Goomba.
That's unbeatable, surely. Surely the title is yours.
I don't know. I don't want to count anyone out right now. I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. Oh, I think semi-final 2 just got announced. Let's take a look.
Nice.
Edge took it, 48 against 43.
And the
And
meme
Edge
is
is
still alive.
Edge is going to be runners-up. So he's definitely gonna win.
Congratulations, Goomba.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So the $1 million question right now, the cliche question, what's going through you right now, Goomba? What are you feeling?
I'm really surprised, to be honest. The fact that okay, so before the Karter Contest started, or like right when it started, I didn't expect a whole lot. I was hoping to make it a little bit further than 2016, where I pretty much just joined the site. So I was like barely eligible to even like participate. And then I got round 64, which kind of surprised me. So I wanted to make it further than round 64. But I also wanted to put a little bit more effort into it, so I started my campaign. Made some videos, some pictures. And when I had to fight Ben Stoneman, I think it was the first one, I was really nervous to see what the results would be. But then the MKDD block came out huge, and since then, pretty much, it's just been like growing, to my surprise. But against Shock, I was really nervous. I thought I was gonna be absolutely destroyed, but I guess not. It was a really close match. Apparently, I had a vote lead of 16 around the middle, but then Shock came like back to.
Well, I'm hoping, I'm rooting for you in the final, purely because the last American to win it was in 2008. It stayed in Europe ever since. So,
good. Let's keep it that way, right?
Yeah, I hope it stays.
Oh man, I gotta vote Edge now. Okay.
Can't we just make a pact that anyone involved with this show or listening to this show just vote Goomba and get it out of the way?
I feel like that's a great idea.
Yeah. You came on at the perfect time.
That's why I'm here. That's
Coincidence?
my only reason.
It's a propaganda campaign.
That's
yeah,
what
exactly, the proper Goomba rig.
All right, so should we get on to the guest of the day, Goomba? Let's talk MKDD.
Ooh, yeah. That
So,
sounds good.
I'm just gonna start you off with the most blandest of questions. How did you get into MKDD, and how did you get into time trial eventually?
Sure, it's actually pretty interesting. So, early 2015, around March or so, I started looking around for a speed game to speed run, as I have been seeing like a bunch of runs. I was following, for example, Super Mario Sunshine, and I was considering running that. But I checked the front page of speedrun.com, and I saw a run submitted to Mushroom Cup by the Jackster1676. And I was like, all right, Double Dash, yeah, it sounds pretty good. I remember playing that a lot. In fact, as a kid, I would pretty often like come back to it, and I still had like some tracks in like my music playlist. I really like Double Dash. It's still my favorite kart. I mean, obviously, but at that point, it really was. So I was like, sure, let's see where I'm ranked. You know, I was really curious, as I would win against most of my friends, but that's how pretty much everyone starts out who thinks they're decent.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. So I got a decent time. It's not terrible, but pretty alright to begin with. And then I put it down for a while, and then a bit later I saw some people stream it on twitch.tv. And that little group, pretty much, we started talking, and we created a little Skype group. And from there, we just did mostly Grand Prix, not really time trials, until I kind of wanted to improve that way. And as a kid, I played a little bit of time trials, not too much. So I played more time trials, and people were like, "Oh, why are you playing time trials? That's boring. Play Grand Prix. Now that's the good stuff." But I somehow people started following a little bit, and we found the Frigs, Ryan Stevens. He was streaming at that time, and there would be Baseball Kid, also known as Jacob Purcell. He would be in chat, and they would constantly be talking about the players page and standards and that kind of stuff. So eventually, once I felt like I had a decent enough time, I started chatting with them, and Jacob was like, "Hey, check out this site." So I clicked the site, and I saw this weird, this site which looked like it was from 2004, and it pretty much is, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is this? Is this still active? So I click like submit, and I'm taken to like this Yahoo groups. I'm like, what is what is this? How does anyone still use this? But then I saw the news updates, and it was very recent. So I was pretty confused. So I asked him a little bit about it, and yeah, pretty much that was in August. So August 2015, I submitted my first times. I thought it was really interesting that every week there would be an update, and Alex would like write a little bit about you. And I convinced all the others in the Skype group to do the same. So a few weeks later, more people started submitting. And to be honest, that's kind of how the whole revival of MKDD started. Because I think without everyone suddenly like joining and participating, and these rivalries, there was no way I would have actually continued playing. But the further I got into time trials, the more I started like ignoring Grand Prix and realizing it's absolute trash garbage and I should never play it again. Whereas time trials is just way more fun to me. No RNG, please God no. And it's I don't know. It really was a new passion that I found, and I'm loving every second of it.
So this was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2015.
Wow, you've climbed the ranks pretty quickly.
How long after joining the site did you become number one?
1.5 years, because I joined August 2015 and I got champ March 2017.
Wow, it's impressive.
Yeah, that is solid. It's interesting
in
that you.
Shiny,
Yeah, go.
in shiny 60 hertz, mind you.
Yeah. Oh yes, let's not
Yeah,
forget.
that's actually a very interesting thing, because when I joined, Richard was still the world champion. However, Andrew Math was slowly making his way up the ranks, which was, I mean, at that point he was pretty much the only one active. Richard would sometimes play. Andreas would almost never play. Sometimes you would see him play some Grand Prix actually. He also went to SGDQ 2016. I don't know if you guys have seen that run.
I've seen it.
Was that the one with the epic finish?
Let's link that one too.
Well, I don't know if it had an epic finish, but
I've seen it. I was on the couch giving commentary.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna mention that the commentary was pretty good.
I think what's his name? Lack Attack.
Lack
did a better
Attack.
job.
Yeah. Actually, about that little side note, Lack Attack pretty much didn't know a whole lot about the game, to put it lightly. So Druvan gave him like a crash course of information about Double Dash to even commentate on it, and I think he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, me too.
Should I just spoil what the Druvan means?
Right, Druvan is Andreas Rupmarker.
Yeah,
I'm
but
pronouncing that right.
right, but do you know what the name means?
I actually don't. I'd like to know.
Yeah, it's a brand of condiments, like vinegar and ketchup and like stuff like that. It's called Druvan in Sweden. So he was just making an account and looking around the table and okay.
Well, I remember my very first email address back in '96, and it asked for a username, and it was a whole new experience to me. And so the first thing I looked at, I was eating an onion bhaji, so I called myself Onion Bhaji.
There you go, dude.
What was Vincent van der Vloet's nickname? Is it green soup or something, or vegetable soup?
Kunte.
Yeah,
Yeah, or 2100.
yeah, that too.
That means vegetables that you put in your soup.
Yep.
In Dutch.
That's as good a nickname as any.
But yeah, to get back to the
Sure.
50 hertz part.
Yep.
So pretty much almost every world record, apart from a few at that point, was 50 hertz. And for a very long time, 50 hertz was considered the very best hertz to actually play at top level. When people would reach the top, they would kind of plateau, and that's when they were like, all right, gonna switch to 50 because I've reached my peak in 60. Now, there's been a few battles where like Marijn Jongbloed would actually like show other people like, hey, you can get these kind of times also in 60 hertz. But still primarily, at least this is from what I've heard, the main thing to play for world records was 50 hertz. Now, Andrew Math is American, so he didn't really have access to 50 hertz, nor did he want to play 50 hertz. There was a time where he considered actually ordering one, but luckily he stayed on 60 hertz, and slowly he was beating more of Richard's times and some other times. So we saw some more 60 hertz appearing, although it was still not that much. And after the world record I got a few days back, there's only 50 hertz or 250 hertz times remaining, and everything else is 60 hertz now.
Which is really cool.
I gotta say, I was very much, I think, vocal back in the day when the game came out, and there was this huge discussion with the 5060. I'm sure that lasted a decade, but
Probably.
yeah, but it's such a good feeling when you shut everyone the fuck up like you did. Like 60 hertz, you can be wine. Just play.
What I really like about 60 hertz is well, first of all, that's how the game is meant to be played, to be honest. 50 hertz, I believe they added that because some old TVs in Europe couldn't display 60 hertz yet, so they had to add it. But otherwise, 60 hertz is just how it's supposed to be done. Besides that, to me it's more fun to go fast, and I felt like even though I had the option to switch to 50 hertz, I wanted to beat everyone, especially Andrew, who took rank 1, I think mid 2016. I wanted to beat him fair and square. I wouldn't want to switch to 50 hertz to beat him. I wanted to beat him at his own game, which is another reason why I stayed 60 hertz. And really right now, there's no way I would ever want to even like try 50 hertz.
But do you feel there's more potential in 50 hertz?
The more I think about it, the more I think that in the very long run, which is, I mean, this whole skill where I think when you start out, you should definitely play 60 hertz, to be honest. It's a lot faster to restart, whatever, to learn. Then there's probably a while where maybe 50 hertz can get you some more time to think about what you need to be doing or how to drive a little bit tighter than usual. but when you play 50 hertz, you only get 50 frames. However, with 60 hertz, you get a little bit more of that lenience or more ability to do inputs. So fast MTs might actually be optimal to do in 60 hertz, which is another, I think, more interesting thing. I remember Vincent saying all the way back before ATAC got found that his way of like playing was now to do faster MTs. And I think that's a big point when you compare 60 to 50 as well, because you just have 10 more frames to do more inputs, pretty much.
So that way of thinking about 50 hertz and 60 hertz doesn't really. I didn't think about it that way because is that really how it works?
I think so. I don't know. I was talking to Andrew about this, whether or not 60 hertz actually gives that opportunity to do faster mini turbos. But to be honest, when looking at it, I think that's actually the case. I remember some 50 hertz players saying that their MTs they would drop more MTs in 50 hertz. Whether that's because they were used to 60 hertz or not, I'm not sure, to be honest, or if that's just like selective perspective, or however you say that.
But I see your point, and that is interesting indeed. But yeah, I'm just glad the whiners have nothing to whine about anymore, since there's how many world records are there? I forget in Double Dash.
And there's 32.
There's 32 still, yeah. So 30 are 60 hertz.
Yeah, pretty much.
So when will the last two be?
Well, there's Bowser Castle lap by Karter, which is actually getting really close to 3,000 days. I have told a bunch of people to do it because I really dislike Bowser Castle as a track. However, they haven't really tried that much, so might just be up to me. But the other one is Rainbow Road Flap, and most people who know me know that I also really dislike Rainbow Road. However, it's pretty much the one I should probably be playing. So I have no clue how long that's gonna take. I'm hoping that Rainbow Road should be able to be beaten either, I don't know, somewhere this summer. I mean, it really depends on how fast I can get used to the track. Karter Flap or Bowser Flap by Karter, I have no clue.
So, did you say 3,000 days?
Yes, 3,000.
Don't we need someone to investigate this time, boys?
I'll get Goose to go right on it.
I think it's more that nobody really like tried. For a lot of these times, because now when you look at world record history, most world records are pretty recent. Or for all of these older ones, well, first of all, there was very little activity, obviously.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think most of these records, they didn't really try that hard. For example, Peach Beach lap is a good example for this, I feel like, where the record stood at 21,654, I believe, also by Karter, stood for 2,000 days until I beat it in 2016 December. But when I beat it, I realized that there was still a lot of potential left. In fact, the lap dropped by more than 0.1. It's actually at a 523. So there's still like a lot of optimization in these records left, but just the fact that nobody really bothered to play, maybe it's because they don't really see a video, so it's easier to portray them as like the impossible time or the best time. But seeing a video of it, I think, really changes the way people look.
Yeah.
Because you see mistakes in the run now.
That's a good point. And we all know what happens to records without videos.
Yeah, this is sounding really familiar from our last episode.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, I was gonna, and any of you other guys can chime in with questions too. I'm just not able
I've
to.
got one actually.
Yeah.
So Mario Kart 64 has Matthias Rustenmeier going for the universal average finish of 1.00, leaving all the world records. And Shock is very close in MK Super Circuit. And you have the majority of the Double Dash records now, so could you be like challenging those guys to the overall? being the first Karter to completely dominate
Well,
the world rankings. Is,
I gotta
okay.
say they got a big head start.
They do.
That's for sure.
They do.
I get this question lately, like a bit more often now, especially now that these big records such as Mario Circuit 3-lap and Yoshi Circuit 3-lap, also both done by Richard. Incredible time still, especially for the time it was done. But yeah, they got beaten. So that kind of run up the question: is it possible to beat all of those world records and get that perfect 1AF? I mean, I'd like to say yes to it, obviously. However, I don't think it's very realistic, especially we've seen how much resistance MR got when he got close to
True,
32. So let's say they allow me to get close. Will they allow me to finish the job? Probably not. There's 16 tracks, so there's always at least one track they can completely grind away at, even in secret if they want to. However, luckily that's not really a problem. We don't hoard crazy records.
I was just gonna say, there's one word that will fix all your troubles. It's called hoarding. But yeah, let's not. Let's.
Yeah, well, let's for the sake of argument say that there will be little resistance. Which current record would be the biggest stumbling block you feel?
To be honest, it's that's a really difficult question actually. There's a bunch. However, if I really have to make a choice, it is probably Baby Park Flap. And the weird thing about this is that I was the first one to break Koiter's impossible time of 8.399. A big meme in the community as well, because he only showed like a ghost for that video, and it was such a huge cut from the previous world record.
The perfect chrono for the mini barrier.
Pretty much, yeah. So then, well, actually, it's an interesting story about Baby Park Flap. So back in 2016, when we still had the little Skype group going on, there was this guy called Mr. Agler. I don't know the last, or don't remember the last name. I believe it's Mikael Johansson. And he is an active tasser. But he's also pretty damn good at Double Dash. In fact, he used to be what I believe was top 25. He might have, yeah, he's ranked 31 right now. But in order to test Double Dash, you need to be actually really good at the game, because ATAC makes incredible things happen when you actually know how to use it. So Agler got to that level and decided to combine his passion for TAS videos. In case people don't know, TAS is Tools is a speedrun, where people go frame by frame pretty much with an emulator to complete a certain task, or like complete a game as fast as, well, actually possible. So they have save states to try something over and over. They can slow down, go frame by frame. So they try to create this theoretical perfect run. Now Agler did that for 3 laps actually. He did that for Mushroom Bridge lap, which has a slightly different shroom strat, but a few people have tried and gotten decent success with it, but not really anything big. There's Peach Beach Flap, which they go pretty much a little bit sideways-ish, but also it's more of just optimizing lines and mini turbos. However, the most interesting one he made was Baby Park Flap, and the reason I say that is because he had massive trouble getting RTech to work in Baby Park Flap. Now, RTech is this technique where you pump the shoulder button in a certain way, and, well, speed doesn't really matter, but you can pretty much initiate multiple drifts really quick. Not MTs, but like drifts, and that the drift turns your kart quite a bit. So the thing is, nobody really knows how that works. Not even like just normal playing, or even when he was trying to figure it out with TAS. So come up with a different way to take a really tight corner. And in the end, that ended up being this thing called TAS strat. Now, TAS strat is this way where you turn in a straight line It looks really weird. Almost at the end of the line, you're going pretty much backwards. However, you're still going full speed. And this works by ATAC not having any directional boost when you release A during mini turbos. So with that, he figured out if you shroom and then do a quick little R tap, you build your speed up straight back to go forwards. So you can pretty much go to the corner, turn, then use the shroom, do a little R tap, so you can go pretty much bang on against the wall. Then do a bit more mini turbos, turn around again, do the same thing, and then finish the lap. And that was an incredible find. However, obviously we thought, it's TAS, it's something crazy, this looks inhuman. However, at that time, a returning player from, I believe he played back in 2011, doesn't matter. He wanted to try it out to actually do it for himself. So he started talking to Aguilar, and they got this kind of strat to work. It's not the exact same, but it's pretty much the same concept where you would turn in a straight line, shroom tap, then do 3 mini turbos, shroom tap again, and then another mini turbo. And he figured out that you could get, I don't know, around an 8.5, a low 8.5, maybe an 8.4 at that. Now the world record, like I said, was 399. So at that point, not many people had an 8.4, especially since Koida's time was like that good for Artec. And 8.4 was really hard to get. So someone getting an 8.5 was already a big deal. Just for comparison's sake, actually, let me take a look at how many 8.5s there are now. Just as a quick side note, I believe it's around, there are 72 people with an 8.5 or faster. So this amount, I believe, was like maybe 20, 25 or something. I don't know how many we got, but it was a lot of people. So, okay, let me speed up the story a bit, because it's taking quite long, I imagine. So pretty much I started figuring out, or he taught me to do it because I wanted to learn it as well. And I figured out some more stuff about the lap, how you can do it. And that pushed me on to immediately cut to an 8.4, then a mid 8.4, and I pushed and pushed until people saw that I was getting close to Koida's 8.3. Now, the 8.3, of course, being the legendary time, people wanted to see it beaten, and eventually I pushed on and managed to do it with an 8.396. Now, obviously, there are some more optimization. Jacob Purcell found a way to actually go sideways during that lap. And it got pushed down all the way to a 3.16 by me until David Pena, also known as Optimistic Emo, actually beat it by 3 milliseconds. And here's where it all started, or here's where I'm getting at. This 3.13 is already really close to being fully optimized. The 8.2 is like the new 8.3, where it's this elusive time that pretty much seems like the perfect lap to get. Now, the problem with this is, at that time, I played a lot of Baby Park Lap. It was pretty much like the only thing I played. And in order to get a 3.16, I had to get this insane lucky run. Same with Emo's run. It was insanely lucky. We call the corners he gets like Magic Disney Corner, because it's just complete bullshit. Because you get like a little tap from the wall. We don't know how it works. Pretty much.
Oh, mystery boost.
RNG. So, I think that's gonna be the hardest lap to take down, because Bowser is a continuous process of understanding the track, finding little time saves. Whereas Baby Park is a complete mess. You don't know what you're doing on Baby Park until it finally works.
I can totally see that. Yeah, Bowser Castle is going to fall in the end, and Baby Park just requires 2 Disney corners.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the hardest one to beat.
Can I ask some questions from a place of not being in the know?
Sure.
So, I stopped paying attention to Double Dash at least 10 years ago, it feels like. But I did learned that there was like an R tech and there's an A tech, and so how many are there and what are they? Like briefly?
Okay, so we have L-Tech, which you just hold R and you mash L pretty much, and that's like a way to quickly turn while drifting, or turn a little bit tighter than a normal drift.
Is this like the Waluigi Coliseum only?
Yeah, the Mario Coliseum one is where it's used when L-Tech is like this inferior strat to R-Tech, which is the next level.
Okay, okay.
Which is this weird pumping motion on the shoulder button, which turns you a lot tighter, but it's a lot more inconsistent. We still don't know how it works. It's confusing. Then we have A-Tech, which is pretty much the, or actually there's only A-Tech pretty much left, which is the main thing in Double Dash. There's so many different ways to use it. You can go sideways with it. You can release A before you release R in a mini turbo to get like a different trajectory. It's really interesting how it works, but there's only those 3 techs pretty much. That's it.
Okay, so my follow-up question was regarding the very suspicious 3,000-day-old flap. I'm just joking, obviously. So in all that time, then were there no new discoveries that could be applied to Bowser Castle at all?
No, I don't think so.
So there's A-Tech was already discovered, or did it not matter?
No, A-Tech was already discovered at that point. Okay. It got discovered, I think, either early 2006 or late 2005.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. It's pretty interesting. I believe it was JSX trying to drift on the little bridge on DKM.
Yeah.
Where you have the little wooden bridge, and he was using Toad Kart still as well. And he was like, man, I cannot drift on this bridge. I wonder if there's a way. So I assume he tried to slow down between mini turbos until he realized he kept his speed and got like this slightly different trajectory. Now, with the Battle Train, conveniently, A-Tech works pretty much the best in every, compared to every other kart. I've tried to A-Tech with other karts, and in some it is kind of possible, but pretty much Battle Train, which already was considered the best kart, had like the best A-Tech as well. And when people figured that out, and the fact that A-Tech can make you go faster, it was insane.
All right, cool. I had no idea it was that old. That's basically in the game's infancy.
Found pretty early, at least that's what I heard. I wasn't around back then.
Right, yeah.
I also have somewhat of a question from a place of total ignorance as well.
Sure.
To kind of piggyback off of Sarga. So Super Mario Kart has different charts for PAL and NTSC, and then I know that Mario Kart 64, they have like a conversion rate, so they kind of have everything lumped together. Is that the same thing with Double Dash? Or they have separate charts, or do they have a conversion rate?
We have a combined chart. There's no conversion rate because 50 Hz displays the same time as 60 Hz. It pretty much displays the game at a slower speed.
Okay.
So there's no conversion. Now, obviously, in the early days, people would look more at like the specific 60 Hz ranks, as they would consider the differences bigger between 60 and 50. But nowadays, people just look at combined, and 60 Hz. People don't really look at it. I mean, it's funny trivia, and 50 Hz just gets ignored.
Okay.
I have a bit of a perhaps personal question.
Oh shit!
It has come to my attention via an undisclosed source that I am not at liberty to discuss.
Damn it,
that you actually live in the Bible Belt in the Netherlands. So naturally, one wonders, the question that comes to mind is, to what extent do you attribute your Mario Kart Double Dash success to letting Jesus take the wheel?
It's a good question.
I knew it was gonna be that. It's the way you started it, actually. To be honest, I legit think it actually contributed, because there's literally nothing to do here. There's kids playing football for like 2 hours on a little field across my house, and then they go in at 5 p.m., eat dinner and sleep and go to church the next day. So personally, I don't really have anything with that. So, yeah, there was pretty much nothing to do. So I got a GameCube pretty early on. I think it was, I just turned out of, or no, it was Sinterklaas if you're Dutch, which is pretty much Christmas but early for kids. And then I got a GameCube there, and since then I've been hooked pretty much on gaming. So I think it did actually contribute.
Yeah, so living in bumfuck nowhere contributed, but
Not
the
our
question
Lord
was
and Savior.
Whether Jesus taking the wheel or not? Never mind.
I don't think I have a good answer to that.
I was gonna say he dodged that question pretty nicely.
yeah. Right. We got any more questions for Goomba, or perhaps if you have anything you want to add yourself?
Do you really think that you might lose to Etch in the Karter Contest?
Interesting.
Oh, well, I don't want to count it out at all. I mean, obviously, looking at the stats, Etch got around 40-something votes in this current semi-final. Well, my MKDD block was already 29, so having that big percentage of his votes already probably might be enough to get a few votes and then win. Obviously, since it's a new match, things can always change.
Yeah, but we got a whole meme surrounding the Etch says runner-up thing, so I think that the community's probably gonna say, you know what, Goomba, you have it. Etch, better luck next time.
It's true. I'm not the one to judge about that. I have no clue what people want to do. If they want to break the curse, perhaps maybe they want to do that as well. Well, we'll just have to see, I think. I'm not going to make any bold predictions.
Nicely dodged as well.
Speaking of breaking the curse, I just want to... Clark's not here at the moment, but he gets a shout-out that England managed to win a penalty shootout.
Yeah, you know why?
No. Oh, because they
Football's
actually...
coming home.
Oh, football's coming home. That's the one.
Yeah.
Because they're letting Jesus take the wheel.
Well, the thing is, Gareth Southgate, the manager, actually had them practice penalties and prepare mentally, and he had all sorts of psychiatrists and shit. So very little Jesus, very much practice and preparation. It does work, people.
Yeah, and the Colombian hitting the bar helped.
Yeah, sure.
Oh man, I saw that. That was insane.
Yeah, that was a sick shootout. I like Clark's comment after the shootout where he said, "I'm sweaty, I need a shower."
Yep.
That was like 4 hours after the game too.
Yeah. All right. I wasn't really meaning to derail the subject or anything, but yeah, Edge gets runner-up. That's pretty much settled, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Sure.
Shout out to my buddy Etch.
All right. Questions? Last words?
Well,
Moi
I,
aussi.
I'd like to thank you again for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
good stuff.
it's really interesting to hear about all these. You actually have quite extensive knowledge about Double Dash history, even though you've only been around since 2015. So I'm kind of impressed with that.
I asked around a bunch.
Yeah, that's cool. I know some of the early history, and I'm just gonna take a few minutes here to plug myself or whatever. So in week 1 of Double Dash, I had 1 world record on DK Mountain, and I think Carol had some records on at least Rainbow Road. This was week 3 or something.
And Baby Park Lab.
All right. Well done.
So you have that 3,000-day-old record.
Well, it's been beaten since, daily, at least.
I had no video proof, so it was fake.
Of course. Let's open that can of worms again.
Yeah.
So, then it kind of changed World Champion daily for a couple of years. But I wanted to talk about because you spoke, Goomba, about you and some friends had like a group that pushed each other. Was that correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and I think the longest reigning champions, or what I consider the most dominant in Double Dash, sort of goes back to 2007 for me, when NLG, Carol, you remember we had Martin Woodmarker, Andreas Woodmarker, and Richard Carlson there?
Yep.
And they all combined weighed about 90 kilos.
Pretty much.
Because they were 13, 14-year-old at the time. And I think Richard was world champ at that point.
Could be. I don't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but they've exchanged, at least Andreas and Richard have exchanged being champion a couple of times, as far as I know.
Yeah, accurate.
But Martin and Andreas are, brother and brother. And they pushed each other early on, and Andreas kind of took the wheel and became champion. But Richard is like the, what's it called?
Nephew
is
cousin.
Sorry, I think cousin.
Yeah, cousin. Yeah.
So they all lived within a stone's throw of each other, and that's how they pushed each other. So that's quite a common story that you kind of need a rivalry to get anywhere.
I think that's very true. I mean, to be honest, I would play against my own brother as a kid a lot, and when I started out, I kind of already knew at least about snaking, so I could pretty much jump straight into like lines and that kind of stuff. And then there will be a lot of people that will be around my rank when I started out, and then when I got better, I could look at someone else who was playing, and since so many people were active, there was always, at least for everyone, one rival they could just pick out and then like have a fight with. So I don't know. I think that was a great time to rise up the rankings, because everyone was active, everyone's having fun, and I think having a rivalry really motivates someone.
I actually have 2 points on that note. I know I was gonna wind down the show, but something popped into mind and it cannot be killed. So I know Michael Jongerius, the former long-standing world champion of Mario Kart 64. He was always complaining that there was no real competition for the #1 spot, so he didn't really... He played very little. Carol, you would know this. He barely touched the game, to be honest, for many years while he was champion.
Yeah, unless he was prodded, like, this specific world record got beaten, and then he hadn't played for 2 months, 3 months, and then he would play it and he would get the world record back.
And that would be that. So no more playing. He didn't really have a rival. There was one rival called Eric Habrich or whatever. He kind of had a few world records, but it turns out it wasn't a he, it was a they.
Oh, yep. There's 3 people.
And then I think that reveal very much lost the spark for MJ. So he never had that rivalry until Matthias came along, but then MJ was kind of finished with the game. So that didn't happen.
He still tried to resist him for like a year or so, but it was obvious that Matthias wasn't gonna let go.
Yeah, and Mike never took the long sessions many days in a row or anything.
No.
It's kind of a shame that MJ's prime was kind of not wasted, but it'd be nice to see what it would have been like had he had a person to push him past those limits.
That's my point exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important to set goals for yourself at that point, because there's been times where either no one around me was active, or like right now, as there's nowhere for me to climb. So I'm just looking at certain times or what I'm able to achieve and push myself pretty much that way.
I think in SMK it's just mini barriers, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
At this point, that's all you can really do.
And world records that do not have videos.
Oh, right. You got one of those.
Yeah, there's 3 remaining. So that's what we have running our goals on right now.
Well, on that note, I think people are working on it, like Joe.
Yeah. I've been streaming some attempts, but I haven't really gotten close. I think I've gotten 72 like 5 times, but nothing even in the ballpark. I need to shave another 0.07 away, and that's harder than you might think at this point.
No, I get it, but you're putting in the effort. And Scoob, on the other hand, is also doing the GV3 flap.
Yeah.
And he's been putting in hours.
I'm the only one that is sitting on his ass doing nothing.
Dropping the ball.
Until after CDM. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Because it's NTSC?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
2 of them are NTSC, right? Or is
Well, I'm kind of
Hell.
hoping that you will tie it, so I don't have to go through the pain of the grind.
well, don't hold your breath.
I'm not holding my breath, but there is hope. As
There's
long
a
as you're
little bit
playing.
of hope. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if I just tie my PR, I'd be happy at this point. But I got to shave another 0.04 from there. So yeah.
So you
it's
played like because you're always streaming when I'm asleep,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, but you streamed like 3 times already since we last spoke.
Yeah,
Is that
just
accurate?
about. I did a 6-hour session on Saturday, and then I did a like 2 or 3 on I think Monday or Tuesday, and then another one yesterday. Yeah, but I mean, again, not any really
Alright.
great results. So
So round about 10-12 hours already.
yeah, about 10. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Putting in the effort.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I keep crashing over and over again, which is the life of a Mario Kart player. So
Yeah, because if you're not crashing, you're not going fast enough, huh?
that's right.
you're
If
playing Double
'cause If
Dash.
you're cutting those, if you're cutting the corners and you're still making it through without potentially hitting the wall, then you're not cutting that corner close.
Right, right.
Also, you were discussing or mentioning that you wanted to establish sort of a bounty for that record last
Well,
episode.
it was an idea.
I'm interested to put my money where my mouth is. If you do tie it, I'll give you $100.
$100.
Oh, here we go.
A honey.
All right. All right. And if you get it on video, I will give you €50. I think that's almost close to what I think it's the same type of conversion rate. Is it like twice
Nah.
No,
No.
less,
No?
less. Yeah, that would
It's
be 80
less?
or so.
the... Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
well,
it'd
then
be
I'll give you 11.65.
It's
So the
about the
opposite
result
direction,
itself anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think that'd be kind of fun to have some sort of interest. I mean, it doesn't have to be just between us 3. It could be anybody, but
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. But
it'd
yeah.
be nice. It'd be nice to have some healthy
We
competition.
we need to like set up a topic and make this happen, but I'm very down to throw my money where people's mouths are. Just to see some new records. If that's the motivation it takes, then sure, yeah. Actually, I think I used to motivate Michael Jongerius back in the day like this.
I was just about to mention that actually.
Oh, you know about this?
Well, no, I was saying, well, you probably should have done that, but you actually did.
Yeah, a couple of times, yeah. Not necessarily money, but yeah, I forget what.
Well,
I mean,
Yeah.
I accept boost payments too. So,
Right,
You know, it's not
yes.
just money. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
All
of
right,
course.
yeah.
Just send over
Next
your nice
time.
Norwegian beers, and I'll drink them.
How about next time you show up in Europe, Joe? I'll treat you to €100 worth of drinks.
Well, that sounds fantastic. You're on, buddy.
Well, if you,
Yeah,
if you,
That's if I get it.
yeah.
yeah, well, it's an effort.
Yeah. It's a
Deserves
grind
to be
for sure.
rewarded. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going at it again this weekend, or don't know yet?
I mean, yeah. I'm not looking forward to it. But we'll see what happens.
Even with the bounties
On
in
that
play.
Even with the bounties, it's still. I mean, you can have a really great corner 1, and then corner 2 can be okay, and then at that point the lap's ruined. You know, you
Yeah.
can't really keep going.
Uh-huh.
So
That's true.
it's a frustrating grind for sure.
On that note, what is your next target, Goomba, if you know already?
I'm okay. So Rainbow Road, Bowser, those tracks all require Artec. There's DKM as well, but has a little bit of Artec. The one track that I can gain ranks on, and doesn't have Artec, is Daisy Cruiser. So probably those world records.
Interesting. I always despise Daisy Cruiser, but I've never played Double Dash that much, but I just
Well,
couldn't
I
stand the
hate
track.
Daisy as well. It's absolutely
Alright.
terrible.
Do you like
don't
any
know.
tracks?
Oh yeah, the tracks I do like I have world record on pretty much. That's kind of how it goes for me. When I enjoy something, that's when I actually put time into it. So I think my favorite track will be Mushroom Bridge.
Oh, really?
Probably. Yeah, I think it's really precise. You wouldn't think it's that much in depth, but there's a lot of tiny things that goes into it. Sherbert Land is also a good one. Once again, kind of the same, but there's more differences in how it's played. You have
Sherbert
ice
Land's
physics
cool.
as well, and
Yeah.
the shrooms are. This is pretty much one of the only few tracks where chaining 2 shrooms is actually faster than using 1 shroom per lap. So it's a different kind of track. And yeah, I think Mushroom Bridge and Sherbet are my favorite.
I think I only enjoyed like 2 tracks, and those were like Mario Circuit and Yoshi's Circuit.
Yoshi's
Yoshi's
pretty
Circuit's
decent.
Yeah. I've gotten to the point in SMK where I've actually have world records on tracks that I despise.
Really?
I Koopa Beach 1.
Right.
I can't stand the track, but I still somehow have the lap record.
Well, I have to learn from you.
There is hope.
All right. I think that pretty much sums it up, guys.
Yeah.
The only piece of gaming news I have is that AndrewG is back in SMB1,
Oh yeah.
which is minor to most people. Like, Joe, do you know this name at all?
AndrewG 1990.
Oh,
I do.
oh shit. Yeah, so his dominance is long gone, but it did last a good few years.
He did find a 1-2 strats like a few months back, right?
Weren't those... Which strats are you talking about?
I think he would clip through at the warp zone, like at the pipe. Instead of going over the top, he would clip through the warp pipe or
Yeah.
the little block.
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end,
yeah.
And just save like a frame rule there.
Sure.
He contributed so much to the current record. Even like a lot of the breakthrough decks are from his hand.
I love seeing the SummoningSalt video on it actually.
Oh, yeah.
It
I
goes
was just
really
going to
in-depth
mention him
about this.
actually. Yeah, because if you want a nice breakdown of that, that's a good place to start.
Yeah, I had the idea before this show that I was going to mention SummoningSalt. Deserves a shout out, and maybe we can link to this specific video in the YouTube version.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And also, I believe he hangs out in Joe's chat from time to time.
This
Is
is
that
definitely
accurate?
true. Yeah, he does from time to time.
But Joe, then that should be your claim to fame celebrity meeting.
Well, I gotta meet him first.
All right. Make that happen.
I went with Pauly Shore over something.
Polly fucking Shore. I never thought I heard that name again.
Yeah, me neither until I saw him.
All right.
I think it's just bizarre looking at the Mario Bros. 1 rankings now that Darbian, who killed the game, is now ranked 3rd.
Yeah.
What the hell?
But have you seen the guy currently in the lead?
Cosmic?
Somewes.
Yeah.
Oh, Somewes. Yeah, of course.
He's on a different level. He's like a human semi-Taz. It's just too good. Like,
Yo, you have to be.
yeah, sort of. Yeah.
At this point, when they've broken the game down so much, where they know exactly how many frames they need to get in order to get the frame rules or the bus leaving on time, if you will.
Yeah.
It's been optimized pretty close to the test.
Well, yeah, the thing is, it gets more optimized, and then people realize, oh shit, to beat this, I have to implement one more task strat.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's getting so close to the task. It's
Is Fast 4-2 already a thing in the world record?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think Darbian used to go for it, but now some new, easier things are added.
It's fallen out of favor now.
Easier.
Because of the clip strat, so you don't do the fast 4.2 in the same way.
Right, all right.
But yeah, that used to be a thing, which is gone now because of the addition of a more difficult trick.
There's even a SummoningSalt video on just 4.2 alone.
Yep, yeah, that's true. So we're linking that as well.
Watching that. Yeah. We'll just
Shout out
link
to SummoningSalt,
the entirety of the SummoningSalt videos.
Well,
They're so good though.
That guy definitely deserves all the shoutouts he can get.
Absolutely.
I remember stumbling upon the first video just after release, and I was like, "Yeah, this is what we needed. This is exactly what the speedrun community needed."
Absolutely. And I'll give a shout out to his improved Mike Tyson's Punch-Out world record that he improved over himself by 2 seconds.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
Shout out to that.
True.
He's basically in a world of his own at this point. I know we were just talking about competition for competition's sake, but I think the next closest person is just barely into the 15 minutes, and he's already at 15:10.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's got quite a lead over second place.
Wow.
Who is this? Is this Zallard or Sinister?
Sinister, actually, I'm not sure if he actually did a whole... Well, I know he's done a run, but I don't think he's in the 15-minute
Oh,
mark yet.
okay.
I think Ouija Wee might be close, and Dave P. Just to give some shout outs to some Mike Tyson's Punch Out runners. But I don't know if he's going to go for a sub 15, but it's obviously a close barrier. He's only 10 seconds away. But what that requires is a lot of RNG luck. He's going to need to have Don 2 not be Don 2 as he usually is. And obviously he's going to have a great Mike Tyson final fight. So if it does happen, I suggest watching his stream whenever he's on. I know it's kind of late for Europeans. He's on like 9 o'clock over here. PM, that is. So it's an interesting stream. He's really fun to engage with. So another shout out to SummoningSalt.
At least Zarkov will be able to watch it.
Yeah, he's up early enough.
He's got that old man rhythm.
Yeah, he went to bed at like 10 today, right?
Yeah, well, we're not called the Karthritis Society for no reason.
Karthmensha is coming up soon.
Give it 10 years, yeah?
Just about.
I know we were closing out, but I think it would be a shame to have Goomba on the show and not mention the condescending facade.
Oh, shit.
Little lapdog. I still cannot believe this thread. Every time I read it, I'm very surprised at the interesting arguments that Dan Ocampo, big brain legend,
Shout out
makes.
to Daniel Ocampo.
Perfect MBT as well, don't forget.
Which are really hard to do and are just recently discovered.
Fuck's sake.
I mean, he's not wrong. They are hard to do.
It's too much of a snafu, dude.
I just love how everyone is able to quote most of the topic at this point.
Oh, it's cult, all right.
Yeah.
Giant meme, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I actually sent that picture into our chat, so we should put that up for a timestamp.
Sure. All right, that has to cover it, boys.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, now it's really it.
All right, so I would like to thank everyone for coming on today, and also Clark, even though you left early, but you'll make up for it, I'm sure. You got to get that old man sleep going, so I hope to catch you and everyone else next time. So again, thanks Goomba for coming on and sharing your Double Dash stories.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Look forward to...
Thanks for exposing Lafango as a fraud.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Anytime.
Too easy, huh? All right then. See you guys next time.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Bye-bye.